watching the introductory press conference with James Harden, though, was triggering. And he's one of those guys where it's very clear that it's all about him, and he doesn't, I think, really seem to care about the bodies that he leaves in his wake. And to hear him say that things were essentially mutually agreed upon on the way out, that was laughable to me. Here's James Harden at his introductory press conference in Philadelphia yesterday.
The relationship that I had in Houston, it was basically mutual, but everything was on me. And same in the last situation. But, for the most part, we can control our own destiny. Not that I'm saying it's a good thing or bad thing, but I know in my situation, for whatever reason, it was mutual.
So you made a face. What's your immediate reaction here?
I mean, it was mutual, but it was basically on me.
It's very strange
what
the way
does
he
that
answered
mean?
that question. Right, and there's actually a kernel of truth in the middle of that answer. Where he says, look, we basically, stars in this league have the power to do anything. And he also even said, I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. And to me, I'm like, wow, that's the first honest thing that you said, and probably the only honest thing that he said at this press conference. But you're right, at the beginning, mutual. The Rockets offered him a $50 million a year contract. The Rockets gave him everything that they wanted. And then after that, the Rockets wanted to get the biggest possible haul that they could for him. And instead he said, no, I want to go to Brooklyn. And he acted as if, Vanessa, that he didn't go there of his own volition.
He totally checked out while he was here as well.
That's true.
Totally checked out. So it wasn't even like, look, we laugh at Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson will complain, but he'll be diplomatic. He'll give Pete Carroll hugs. He'll sit with Roger Goodell at the Super Bowl. Harden was like, no, screw all y'all.
There's a GIF of James Harden.
A what?
GIF? I don't know.
GIF.
I never know what it is. Whatever. You get what I'm trying to say here. It's of Kevin McHale patting him on the back. And Harden turns around. This is when McHale was head coach of the Rockets. And Harden turns around. He's like, just makes this face. And I saw that and I was like, what is wrong with you? Just patted you on the back. Abuse. I'm going to call protective services here. There were two places he wanted to end up. It was either with Philly and Daryl Morey. There was no way that the Rockets were going to make a deal with Philadelphia with the way that Daryl Morey was just like, all right, this is bad. Bye. I'm going to go to Philadelphia and start my own process here. And they decided to give him to the team that he was having conversations with during the offseason, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He showed up out of shape, or at least looking out of shape.
Looked very out of shape.
Did he put a pillow under his jersey? I don't know. Was that actually fat? I don't know. I can't say. But there was a headline in January 13th of last year. Brooklyn has granted James Harden's wish to be reunited with Kevin Durant and the Nets. And he's acting like, well, I didn't really have control over that. Even though in that press conference and in that answer where he talks about how it was mutual, he says, well, it was on me. Yeah, it clearly was on you, dude.
It was what did he say in the last? It's a situation that I don't think can be fixed. And then he left the Zoom. I was on the Zoom, and we're like, where did he go?
Oh, he just left.
He just left the Zoom.
So did you think there was connection issues?
No, he walked out.
Oh, he walked out.
Yeah. So to me, he's gotten everything. To me, right now with James Harden, this is your chance because this is going to be the 8th consecutive time you've gotten what you wanted, and if you can't win, it's on you.
But it's always been on him. And this time, Vanessa,
I agree with that. I'm just saying now we're at an advanced stage of this where it's like you now have the GM that you love.
Yeah.
You've had the teammates that you wanted. If you can't win, it's officially time for him to stop complaining.
To not be completely unfair to James Harden, if we were both on the same team as Kyrie Irving with all of his just insufferable hot takes like the earth is flat, and all of these things that he claims to be this grandiose thinker and all this stuff. He's so full of it. It's obvious that Kyrie Irving is basically just a weirdo. But he's not showing up to play either, okay? If you're James Harden, you should be ticked off about that. You're still playing with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's one of the two best basketball players in the NBA. Arguably, with LeBron James getting up there in age, you could make the case that Kevin Durant is the best basketball player in the NBA. And he says, yep, Kevin Durant, I can't make it work with just Kevin Durant. And I mean, to me, that's just loser mentality. You can't make it work with a guy that you've played with before, that you're clearly friends with, just because of one guy on the team that's showing up for some of the games. That's too much for you. So now you're going to go and play with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's not been Kevin Durant. He's not.
And also, regardless of where you stand on all things vaccination, every league and different teams had. I mean, we saw Aaron Rodgers. Every league and teams had players that didn't get vaccinated, and not every team, I should say. I think the Bucs were 100%, as were the Texans at one point. But the Kyrie Irving thing, of course that would be annoying. Of course that would be obnoxious. But that's how Kyrie's always been odd.
Yeah.
But it's not like James.
There's a long list. It's not just vaccinations with Kyrie Irving.
Long
it's you just go down the rabbit hole, and he thinks that everyone's like, oh wow, these media puppets. It's like, no,
right.
dude, you're just the worst. Like, you're actually the worst. I remember when he joined the Celtics, my favorite team, and I couldn't get behind him. I was like, I don't know. I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
He's annoying. And we're in this era, Vanessa, of player empowerment in the NBA, and it's only good for elite players. It's not good for consumers, the people who watch the game. It's not really good for owners. It's kind of good, I guess, for marginal players and good players and players who could potentially be superstars someday. But, with this and with Ben Simmons sitting out and talking about mental health at his press conference, but then saying, well, it's actually personal issues at his press conference, it's just so hard to look at these guys with a straight face and say, like, anything but bleep off, shut up. I in particular with Simmons, the Simmons thing really drives me crazy. He's like, dude,
you are not happy about this.
Mental health, Vanessa, is a real thing. People deal with it. And you know what they do? They show up for work every single day while they're dealing with it. And I guess we're expected to have empathy after a tweet that Torrey Smith, an ex-wide receiver in the NFL, put out. We're supposed to have empathy for these athletes who are going through issues like this. Sorry, I don't care about somebody who's making $33 million a year, getting guaranteed salary with a 4-month vacation.
See, but you can't equate mental health to anything money related.
I guess I can't, but I can equate it to the average person every single day. Why am I supposed to have empathy for this person who is making 11-figure salary and he is not showing up for work for 4 months, especially as we just got through a pandemic where people are getting laid off for essentially no reason. It's like tone deaf.
It's a nuanced conversation for sure. I think there are gray areas here. It's not black and white, because I think you can't have empathy for anybody who has a mental health issue regardless of how much money they make. But to your point, I see where you're like, okay, he's showing up now. He looks fine now.
Right. And we'll see if he actually shows up for a game. Can I ask this question? Because we do throw out, hey, the mental health is
right.
a serious thing.
Mina Kimes talked about it. Torrey Smith talked about it.
We do seem to understand it a little bit more these days. But is it completely unfair to me, for anyone, for me, to be a little skeptical of him saying that? Is it fair? I really don't know the answer to it, but I am not going to lie. I'm a little skeptical of it. I feel like this is a guy who didn't have things work out on the basketball court, but he's a success in life. He made it to the NBA. He's someone who dates like Kendall Jenner on the side every now and then. Like, I feel like things are going pretty well for this person. And wow, the reaction from an angry group of heathens in Philadelphia who are the craziest sports fans in the United States of America. Is this really like something that is so serious that we're supposed to look at you and say, oh, well, I feel bad for Ben Simmons? No, show up and play. If you're showing up and playing and you're still dealing with all this, I would have more empathy for you. But this, I'm like, dude, in life, you're supposed to get up when you get knocked down.
I've never been a fan of players sitting out for almost any reason, minus if you have like a death in the family or whatever. Like, I don't like load management. Or a kid's born. Yeah. Like, I don't like load management. I don't like any of that. I would prefer that he play. I do think it gets dicey once you start comparing mental health with like money and who you date. But to your point, yeah, it seems like we're at a point where you can't critique anybody who says that they...
It seems like it's a really convenient shield. And I'm not saying that that's what Simmons is necessarily doing, but I feel like I should be able to wonder,
Right.
I can't, mental health? Oh, okay, my bad. Ben Simmons, good for you, man.